So we have been doing things before, like simplify this. Simplify this. Simplify, oh, let's do 5x squared over xy. We've been simplifying stuff like that, right? Where you can simplify one of those x's, right? This one goes with that. Yes? And you could simplify things like this, right? But I want to ask you, could you simplify this? If it's adding and subtracting, can you simplify that? If I do, isn't that 7 over 2, which is 3.5? If I cancel those, am I going to get 7 over 2? If you cancel those, are you going to get 7 over 2? No. So you cannot, when it's adding or subtracting would be the same thing. When it's adding or subtracting, you cannot cancel. You can if it's multiplying, but not if it's adding or subtracting. And that's the thing you have to remember today. When it asks you to simplify, I see over and over and over and over people canceling those x squareds. You cannot, because it's subtracting. You could if it's times, but not for adding and subtracting. So how are you going to simplify that then? Well, guess what? That's what I get paid to tell you, how you're going to simplify it. I have to bring up a bad 4-letter word. Oh, it's not 4 letters, it's 6-letter word. Starts with an F. The 6-letter word that starts with an F. Factor. You've got to factor them. Oh, I know. And those freshmen now, they don't believe me. We're on factoring right now. They think I'm just pulling their leg or trying to make them feel bad when I say factoring never goes away. You have to factor. So, 2 kinds of factoring. First, you should always check to see if there's anything common. Is there anything in common on the top? There's an x common to both of those. Take it out. If you take out an x out of this, what do you get? If you take x out of this, what do you get? And if you were to multiply that out, you'd get back what you started with. So on top, that actually factors like that, right? On bottom, does this thing, well, there's nothing common to those, so you can't take out anything in common. The other way that you could possibly factor is the binomial way. Does it factor into binomials? Well, remember, x, 2 plus minus. And so the bottom thing, I have x plus 2, x minus 2. All we did so far was factor the numerator, factor the denominator. Remember, I'm going to go back over here. You can cancel if it's times. You cannot cancel if it's adding or subtracting. So over here, look, it's this thing times this one. It's this times that. So guess what you're going to do? You can cancel it now, right? And the reason you can cancel it is because it's this whole thing times the rest. It's this whole thing times x. So what do you have left on top then? An x. What do you have left on bottom? Can you cancel those x's? No, because it's adding, right? So your simplified answer is that thing right there. Even though it doesn't look a whole lot simpler, that's the simplified answer. So really today all we're going to do is factor and then cancel. How about this though? Oh boy, how about this? Look at this. What a mess. How about this? I don't like that one. We're not doing that one. How about this? How about this? I don't like that either. This could be ugly. You know what happens when I make up my own? Oh, you know what happens when I make up my own? There. Oh boy, I've got a negative. I've got a negative. I don't like staying 6 feet away. I like to get right in your face. You know, lean across the table. What do I have to do with the negative exponent? I only know how to do one thing with a negative. What's the one thing I know how to do with a negative? What if it's this? What if I had 5 to the negative 2? What do? You put it in the bottom and make it 5 to the positive 2. So all we know how to do is to get rid of that negative, just move it to the bottom. Or if it's in the bottom negative, you move it to the top, right? So over here, all this stuff, this has a negative exponent. So I am just going to move all that whole thing, and make it a positive 1. Do I really need to have that positive 1 there then? So look it over. If you have a negative, just move it down. Just move it down. Can I factor that top? It's already kind of simple. So x minus y. What about the bottom? Can that be factored? XX. How do you get a y squared down here? It's got to be yy. Positive sign, what does positive sign mean? It's either positive times positive or negative times negative would also give me a positive. What is it? What is it? Negative, negative. So now down here, I factored it. Look what it is. So what can I do? Cancel one of those. If I cancel the whole thing, that's allowable. So my answer is just x minus y then, right? Right. The whole top, it's 1 over x minus y. It's 1 over x minus y. Anybody with a question so far? Anybody with a question so far? Anybody with a question so far? do you do if you have that negative exponent there?
Put it on the bottom.
Put it on the bottom. So leave that alone. This thing, put it on the bottom and make it a positive one. Does that cancel? Well, I don't like the way it's written, for one thing. Would you mind if I switch spots? The X is first on this one. Let's put the X first. But you have to be careful, it's negative X. And a positive one. Those don't look like they're going to cancel, do they? But look right here. X and negative X. Those are opposites. Look at the Y. Y and negative Y. Those are opposites. I've got something to show you. Are you ready for this? I've got something to show you. When you have opposites like that, you know what I call it? The negative one trick. Prepare to be amazed. Prepare to be amazed. Are you ready? This trick, the negative one trick, only works when those are opposites and those are opposites. Here's the negative one trick. Leave one of those alone. We'll leave the top alone. In the bottom, I'm going to factor out negative 1. That's why it's called the negative 1 trick. What happens if you take a negative 1 out of there? Oops, a negative 1 out of there. Really, you're just changing the sign then, right? This x, negative 1 times x is negative x. Change the sign. If I get negative 1 times negative 1. So I factored out a negative 1. Look what happens when I factor out a negative 1. Then what? Then you can what? Could you say it with a little more excitement, please? Then you can cancel it. X minus y, and what do you have left? It looks like just a negative 1. That's the negative 1 trick. They have to be opposites and opposites. And one of them, it doesn't matter which one, you can factor out a negative 1 then. And when you do that, you're really just changing the sign, and now they match up and you can cancel them. Isn't that exciting? Aren't you excited? So really today when it says we are rational algebraic expressions, it should really be renamed factoring and canceling in this section. That's how we're simplifying. We're factoring and canceling. Oh. Do you think that's good? Because really, it just relies on the fact that you know how to factor already. Right? Holy moly. Holy moly. So, do you have any questions before I'm just going to pick a few, I think. Oh, it won't be that many, Annabelle.
I'm just tired.
I know. Me too.
I could really take a nap.
Me too, actually. I'm tired from this vacation.
Yeah.
228, 229. How about 1 to 58? We'll go 1 to 5 and just wait.
6 and 7.
9, 10 should be okay. 9, 10, 14. I hope you don't mind, I'm just picking ones. Oops. 9, 10, 14, 5, 6, 7, 8. How about 14, 16, 19, 16, 19. Is that 10? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 5 more. Yeah, that'll be good. Yes, ma'am.
Is it off?
Not yet.